the intro again.
Don't. Please don't. You really gonna do this?
Well, him. It's our show. We do what we want.
Oh my god, no. Not another freaking wrestling podcast.
Yay!
Like I said, I don't get people watching me. So either you love me or you don't.
I love you.
I love you too.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Not Another Freaking Wrestling Podcast. We are recording live today from Taxomania 3, better known as Classic Carpet City.
For God's sake.
I am JD.
And I'm Shane Daniels.
I'm Jake Murphy.
And I'm the promoter of this shit, Tyler.
And I'm the most specialist of guest referees, Will.
And we're here with a very special guest this afternoon. We are here with the one, the only, Martin Stone.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for having me on today.
Man, thank you so much for being here. We're excited to have you on the show, and we're excited to have you on the podcast. Honestly, didn't know if we'd be able to get you on or not, so this is pretty great.
More than welcome. Again, thank you for having me on.
All right, so first of all, I want to start off with this line of questioning because tonight your opponent's Jaden New, and you guys met down in Atlanta at Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment.
Yep.
So things have kind of come full circle. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, God, AWE was what? That was 7, 8 years ago. So, yeah, a lot has definitely happened since then. But, Jaden's a good kid. But, I'm just going to beat $7 the crap out of him tonight.
So, have you gotten to see any of his work recently?
Yeah, I was watching some stuff, was it about 2 weeks ago? And then I saw that John Davis was putting him over on Twitter, so he's obviously good.
Yeah, the kids, like, we met him when he was 15 years old at TWE, and he's come such a long way.
Awesome.
It's really exciting to see him be able to, like, believably be in the ring against somebody of your caliber.
No, well, I appreciate that.
So let's talk a little bit, because you famously went through a period in NXT. Talk a little bit about how they recruited you and your landing there.
So, I was an extra for a while, and I was having everyone's, like, the guys that they were like re-debuting or repackaging or whatever. They would call me up and I would have their matches, because it was nice because they at least trusted me as an extra to be like, all right, you're not going to go into business for yourself. You're going to, you're literally just going to say, what do you need? Match is going to be great. He's going to get over, but you'll keep yourself over as well. So that was always the deal. And then I got a random phone call for the UK tournament, which was that January 2017, I think, the UK tournament.
I don't
Was
remember.
it 26? It was either 2016 or 2017. I can't really remember the year. But I ended up getting that call, and then a week later I flew out. And that for me was the turning point. And then there was discussions and everything like that, and then they brought me in on a part-time deal. So I was doing the monthly tapings at Full Sail that was on the network at the time, and then I would work the Florida shows. At that point in time, that was when they had the potential idea of teaming me up with Oney Lorcan. So we would run that on the Florida shows just to see if it worked. And then all out the blue, they were like, "Yep, this works. So we're gonna now sign you to a full-time deal." And that was I reported for duty May 2018.
As a tag team wrestler myself with Jake, when was it that you knew that you guys were going to work as a tag team? Like,
First night.
first night?
Yeah, first night. Just again, Biff is fantastic. He's such a good worker, and just we always got on, so just clicked. So
Yeah, for a lot of tag teams, it's kind of hard finding that, especially when you're kind of thrown together, finding that chemistry.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. We weren't a typical tag team in that we did every single tag team move you can think of and stuff like that. We did our own thing, but just managed to blend it together, and it just worked.
Yeah.
So,
that was my first real exposure to you. Was the tag team with Orny. I loved you guys so much. I was like, this is what tag team wrestling is supposed to be.
I appreciate that.
So, with you and Only, or with Biff, is there like a favorite tag team match that you guys had, whether it be in NXT, like if you guys like were all the network, or even if you do like a house show in Florida, is like any match coming to mind?
So obviously the big one was Takeover Chicago, which was the match that made us. To come out to an entire crowd hating you, but then halfway through it shifts to the point when they're like, maybe they're going to do this. So that for me was a very, very, very special night because like we went, oh God, we walked out and literally just absolutely murdered by the crowd. And I remember looking, I was like, ooh, this is going to be rough. And just, we're trying to do like our shine at the start of the match. If you call it a shine, I don't know. Some people do, some people don't. But we're trying to do that. And, they're just, the crowd aren't buying any of it. I'm just like, all right. But then just at that point, I was like, right, I'm going to sell my ass off and I'm going to make sure that something happens. And then luckily halfway through it, that switch happened.
Yeah, Chicago's a tough crowd.
Yeah. So to feel them literally go, okay, maybe not, and then obviously, we did the finish. And then to get that reaction, just... Yeah.
So this is going to be kind of a little bit of an off-the-wall question, but is Pat McAfee really that nuts?
Yes.
Okay. I listen to his podcast all the time, and Boston Connor just seems like the biggest shithead alive. So.
Pat is Pat. Pat's awesome. Pat's amazing.
He really is. If you go to a live show and he's there, he will get on the desk and dance and everything.
Yeah, Pat's awesome. Pat's, again, all right, he was in the NFL for, 8-9 years?
Yeah,
remained
sounds
pretty
right,
much injury free and just but he missed his calling. Definitely missed his calling.
Yeah.
As far as your time in WWE goes, who would you say was the most consequential relationship you had besides Biff?
Mikey and Shane, that are now known as TMDK.
TMDK.
Like good guys, real good guys. I had a great relationship with Terry Taylor. He ended up being my mentor throughout that whole time period. Norman Smiley as well. Just he's
that's your guy.
always Will.
Oh my God!
Norman Smiley.
I love this.
Y'all all just immediately start staring.
So I need you to explain to Martin why you quote unquote love Norman Smiley, please. I've been waiting on this day for my entire life. Oh my God, this is great.
All I'll say is there's more that meets the eye, and I'll leave it at that.
Are you a fucking transformer? Like, come on, explain the story. You got to explain the story. You can't just say that.
Entertain, bitch.
Honestly, I can't even remember how it started, but it was just always, at least for me growing up, it was always, okay, here comes Norman Smiley to get mowed down. And I don't know. I was just never a big fan, and then it became a weird running joke with me and my friend Bentley where we just kept badgering them about Norman Smiley either messing with their old radio show or stealing something from them. Anything that went wrong, I blamed on Norman Smiley.
Well, Norman is literally one of the greatest human beings on this planet, so how dare you?
I'm glad this finally has a payout.
I know.
Maybe we
This
should
was the
move.
longest payoff.
Well, maybe
ever.
we should move Will in the guest referee in the match with Jaden and Martin. So if Will gets cheeky, Martin can just smack him around.
I do have the pencil and the pen pad, so
A long night for you if this gets changed.
I almost want to see this now. You got semi and main tonight.
All right, back to back.
So,
oh my gosh.
when you were released from WWE, what was that like for you? Just trying to regroup and everything.
So
Was it a surprise at all?
yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes and no. So I'd obviously we finally won the tag titles against Rizango. That was October of 2020. And then we started doing, we started having some good runs with people and stuff like that, and it was all coming together. And then we had the match with Cross and Finn Balor, and that was when I separated my shoulder. So rolled out the ring. I was smacked the guardrail so the cameras couldn't see it. I thought I'd put it back in. I was like, yes, here we go. Jumped up, grabbed the top rope, boom, straight back out. So went and got a scan the next day, and the surgeon was like, well, you've got a grade 1 and a grade 6 ACL strain. 1 is you can just rehab it up to 2 or 3, then we look at surgery. It's like, yours is 6, so you definitely need surgery. I was like, wonderful. Okay, here we go. Brilliant. And then, so then obviously they had to strip us of the titles, which sucked. It did suck because I knew where we were going, and it was going to be pretty good. But then, yeah, so I got the surgery, I did the rehab. I came back for the last black and gold main event of NXT against Wesley and I can't remember their name. What was the tag name? Wes and
MSDK?
no, MDK. No,
MSK.
MSK. There we go, MSK. Sorry, lads. Sorry. So we came back and had that match, and it was awesome. And then
That was a good match.
yeah, just again, that was like, I mean, I'd worked Zach once on the Indies, like years before that, and that was the first time I'd got in there with Wes, and just again, it clicked. It was a real fun match. It was good. Then I did then I unfortunately got my collarbone broken in a training match.
Oh.
On the same side.
Oh,
So then,
no.
So I'd done a 6-month rehab, came back 1 week later, boom, I'm out again.
How
So I'm
long
like,
did it
okay.
take you out for?
So then that was, what was that? That was in September. So it was like, okay, you've got a broken collarbone, no problem. We'll put a plate in, you'll be good in 8 weeks. All right, excellent. Back off to the races. Anyway, then there was complications. He got infected, so then they had to go back in again, take the plate out, clean everything out, put the plate back in. And then it was, okay, we'll wait a little bit longer. We'll get to the 8-week mark, 10-week mark, and we'll see where we're at. Then basically my shoulder just wasn't healing. So I then got made a coach, which was a fantastic experience. Got released so I got made a coach in the October. It was November. Got released in January. Still not cleared. So I couldn't work. I couldn't wrestle. I couldn't literally do anything.
Oh, man.
So I was like, okay, so I'm still doing the rehab protocol and stuff like that. And I'll tell you what, that company looked after me. You know, they paid for all my rehab. They, unfortunately, as it didn't heal, I still needed yet another surgery, so I had to go under again July of last year. So because it wasn't healing, they took a piece of my hip bone out, popped it in there, and did like a bone graft. Mm-hmm. Because it healed at the bottom, but the top, it just wasn't healing. So, yeah, then finally got cleared December of last year. So literally, I was on the shelf for a year and a half.
Wow.
Sheesh.
And they took care of all that?
They took care of everything.
That's
they really, they
incredible.
They did look after me. So I mean, the circumstance around getting released sucked, but I've been there before because it was the second time I was there. So it wasn't so much getting released I was concerned at. I was just like, how do I earn money now? How do I try and capitalise on this run that I've just had? I couldn't. So it's kind of slipped away a little bit and everything like that. But so I was more concerned about, okay, how do I provide a living for my family? Because right now I can't. You know, still in a sling. Like, just it was awful. But yeah, luckily, thankfully, we're all good now. So yeah, here we are.
So what have you been up to since WWE?
Well, apart from rehab and getting surgery, so my first match back was January 13th for Coastal Championship Wrestling in Florida.
Florida, I'm sorry.
How dare you? No, Coastal Championship Wrestling is awesome.
Yeah.
They sell out all of their shows.
Oh, that's great.
They run 5 to 9 times a month.
Oh,
like, they are huge.
Wow.
Yeah, they are literally a traveling company.
Who was that match with?
The first match was with Ozzy Killmeister.
How'd that go?
Good kid, yeah. That was good. Yeah. I mean, I was blown sky high. Took 2 bumps, I was like, oh, it's been nearly 2 years.
Don't tell me that.
But yeah, good luck. Mate, you enjoy it. Yeah, I tell you, yeah. So then just, and again, it's, my shoulder's healed, but obviously I'm trying to be careful with it. I'm not trying to go mental and be like, right, I need to work every weekend. I should do, because obviously there's a plate in it, so I'm going to be fine. But just, right now I'm trying to get back in shape again, just so that, I can give the full Mark Stone experience and not, so I'm taking it slow, but bookings are slowly starting to pick up. So just, the idea is to literally by the end of the year be back in my best shape, working as much as possible, and then we'll just see what happens in the future. So
we look forward to seeing how it goes. If you could, just for a second, there's a lot of young guys out there trying to break into the business or just barely breaking in. What is the one key piece of advice you would give to someone in their first year of wrestling?
get your foundations and your basics as good as you can. There's no point starting a match with a run spot. You need to bring the crowd in, and you need to make your work as believable as possible. The analogy I always use, okay, at most shows you're gonna have a dad that's paid for 2 kids, he's paid for his wife, he's gonna buy merch, he's gonna buy concessions or whatever like that. So with tickets for a family of 4, plus merch and stuff like that, you're looking at round about between $150 and $200. That's the person you need to convince to come back the next show. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is unless he's like a real die-hard wrestling fan, which is probably not. He's probably just a casual fan, his kids watch it, whatever. That's the person you need to convince and make your work stand out so that he can literally look and go, well, what was different about that match than the one before or the one after? And I promise you, believability. If you can literally make everything look as real and make it look like a struggle and a fight and just hook people in on that, if you get to the point when you want to start doing high spots, you've already hooked them in. That's just icing on the cake.
So, I got a question.
Fire away.
Do you remember when Lex Luger had the medal in his forearm and used it as a finish?
Yeah.
So, are we going to see the same thing, like with your shoulder?
What, with a flying shoulder tackle? So
Yeah.
No. Hear me out. It's believable.
It'd be a good spot.
It really would.
You know?
Would you pitch that to Triple H if you were...
no, definitely not. No. He'd look at me and be like,
remember how
yeah,
big Luger
cool.
was?
We can make this bigger.
Definitely make it bigger.
But, yeah. That was a great question. I thought.
Yeah, I'll say you just killed the conversation, didn't you?
Yeah, you really.
That's what I'm here for, guys.
What would you consider at this point in your career to be the moment? Like when you just look back and said that was the biggest moment of my career. That was me at the pinnacle.
Take over Chicago 3.
Okay, with Chicago, definitely.
I would say when they put the tag titles on us, but it was during COVID. It was during the pandemic.
Yeah,
so it was, there was a crowd there, but obviously they're in these boxes and they've got to wear masks and they can't really make that. So it was a great moment, but just take over Chicago 3 just smacks it.
I'd say COVID era wrestling was a buzzkill for a lot of people, especially like you, Drew, stuff like that. I mean, he won the big one. There was
In
no
front
crowd.
of no one, yeah.
I mean, what kind of moment is that? Like,
Yeah,
you
I had,
worked your ass off.
I literally had what would have been one of my dream matches against Kushida in front of nobody.
Wow.
Yeah,
So-
in front of nobody.
I was talking to Will about this earlier, and this is maybe just a personal taste preference, but like, I really enjoyed the COVID era of wrestling. I think we saw a lot of people up their promo game.
Yep.
We saw a lot of people tighten up their work because there's not a crowd there to react
Yep.
to make the people on television believe.
Yep.
So, like, for you as a performer performing during that era, what was something that you really took away from
The one thing I wished I'd done personally was done less and made the smaller things mean more. Because that was the perfect time to pull the business back. And okay, let's not concentrate on doing so much stuff. Let's pull it back and we can kind of regroup. I did slow my stuff, but I didn't. So I do kick myself for that. But it was good to be able to go out there and it was like, okay, well, you can't call anything now. So you've just got to go out there and work. So it was like if you were calling it, you had to be really tight because obviously there's no noise, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
So it was good from that point of view, and that it was like, okay, right, this really is a reset.
Yeah.
So it was really, really good for that. But again, it was just hard, when it's like you're like, oh, okay, we're going to do a top rope superplex, and you're like, there's no crowd, there's no adrenaline. Like, oh god! Like, so it sucked from that point of view because you would do like what? So we at that point in time they were filming. I think it was you could be. I think the protocol in Florida was if you were in an enclosed setting, you could do 2 weeks on and then you had to do like 2 off. So we would literally film 2 weeks worth of stuff. So it's like we do you'd have the guys doing Raw and SmackDown, then a lot of us would do main event and obviously 205, and then we were filming NXT as well. So it was like we would do like a solid 2-week block, and then we'd be off. So I mean, again, I was so thankful to still be working during that time because so many people, I had so many friends that just weren't working, and I had a few friends that had their own businesses and just they lost it all. So it's just like I was very, very fortunate to be working during that horrible time period. So
growing up, and stuff, watching like wrestling in England and stuff like that, having guys like Johnny Saint and Steve Gray and stuff like that. What are some like inspirations that you took from those guys that you really like when you decided to be a wrestler? Going back, did you watch any of that World Class Championship?
So, yeah, obviously I was too young to see it in its heyday.
Yeah.
But then obviously when I started training with Tony and Dino Scarlo. And obviously Tony Scarlo was at one time he was the British lightweight champion.
Yeah.
So I started watching a lot of stuff then. And the guys that I was just like, okay, I tried to take as much as I could from Mark Rocco, Fit Finlay, William Regal, Dave Taylor, Robbie Brookside, all like the real workhorses that could go. I mean, you had Pete Roberts, Terry Rudge, Tony Sinclair, like just absolutely phenomenal workers. So then I was like, all right, well, let's throw a bit of that in there. I'm going to say a name now. I was a huge fan of Chris Benoit growing up, so I tried to take his style. Blend it with Austin, blend it with all those World of Sport guys, and the idea was to try and see if, here is Martin's son.
So, Billy Robinson, I'm a big fan of his work.
Yeah, Billy's awesome.
Was he part of that group that you mentioned as well?
So not when I first started training because I hadn't really seen him yet, but then obviously when wrestling got really popular on the internet, and then obviously YouTube started and everyone's uploading stuff. There was one time I was like, so then there's a few spots I took of his where I was just like, right, okay, we're going to add that into it, which is why it was awesome getting the chance to actually coach with Hideki Suzuki at the PC, because Hideki Suzuki was the last student of Billy Robinson. It was awesome. Yeah, Hideki's so good.
I always loved some Fit Finlay, man.
He's
His
the man.
smash
Best
mouth
ever.
style.
Best worker ever. Fit is the absolute man. I had the chance to wrestle his son Brogan 4 weeks ago now.
Brogan wrestles
Phenomenal.
down here.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's so good.
So, before we wrap up here, anything that I haven't asked you that you feel like should have been asked?
No,
No?
not at all. No,
Okay.
it's been good. Yeah,
Cool.
We didn't go off the rails, so that's good.
Well, we did for a little bit because this one
Norman
Norman
Smiley.
Smiley,
And
so,
JD had to bury Florida too.
I mean,
Yeah,
Kinda
you
got more
bury
to go.
Florida.
Any chance I
Yeah.
get.
Bollocks
Sorry.
all of you, yes. See you later.
Well, let everybody know how they can find you, where they can catch what you're up to.
Yeah,
keep up to date with you.
I'm on social media. I'm on Twitter as @StrongStyleBrit. I'm also on Instagram as the same handle. And I just want to say thank you to anybody that has ever paid for a ticket to come see me work. It's greatly appreciated, because if it wasn't for you guys, I couldn't do what I've been doing for the last 20 years, which I absolutely love. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime, lads, anytime. Except for this one, it don't like Norman Smiley.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of Not Another Freaking Wrestling Podcast, live from Taxomania with our special guest, Martin Stone. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, and talk to you all soon.
And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in your feeds next week. Jake, what do they need to do?
3 more Marty Stone matches.